So the first question is, what's your name and what do you do?
My name is Lyssa Seward. I sell residential real estate. I am affiliated with TTR Sotheby's International Realty in Alexandria, Virginia.
Excellent. Well, welcome, Lisa. And I want to give a shout out to
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Lisa is a super supporter of Fort Hunt and Fort Hunt University and all the things we do. So I really appreciate it. The next question is, how did you get into the business, Lisa?
Well, I've been in the business for approximately 15 years. When I first got my license, I thought my husband and I would perhaps buy properties and flip them because he's a contractor. And we did do that once, but it turns out that my skill set was just perfectly matched with this profession, and I fell in love.
And how long have you said you've been doing this?
15 years.
Oh, wow. What did you do
Yeah,
before?
prior to that, I was a media director for a small ad agency in Old Town Alexandria for a little over 20 years. And my background prior to real estate was marketing focused, which serves very well for marketing listings and
Absolutely.
marketing myself and the team.
Absolutely. And so tell you're the director of a team. How when did you develop the team, or when did you move from being kind of a solo agent to being a team?
I moved to TTR Sotheby's about 3.5 years ago, and I brought with me an agent that I was mentoring at Coldwell Banker, who has since really taken off rock star style. And it happened slowly and organically. It wasn't necessarily a goal of mine, but then two other agents joined, and it has been the four of us for about 3 years.
So I mentioned that we're going to talk during the panel about sort of secrets or lessons learned or what have you. Would you say that the team is a lesson learned for you? Is that like a big breakthrough for you?
I feel like we have an expression that my partner Brittany says, and that is every day is a school day. And I think that's for every profession, because every house is different, because every transaction is different, because every human being on each side of the transaction is different. There literally is something to be learned every single day. Sometimes you're like, enough with the education. How about how about you cut me a break today, universe?
Right.
Um, but overcoming the challenges and problem solving is sickly something I really like about this business,
So
because it's just it requires cat-like reflexes and ingenuity and resourcefulness, and I get very energized by it.
what I think a lot of people have had experience working with a real estate agent, and buying or selling a house. What do you think would surprise people about your business?
I think our business has some reputation issues.
Hmm.
One of our tenets and missions is to really elevate the profession to be the very best we can be for our clients at all times. But I think what people would be surprised about is how hard realtors work, successful realtors. That it is, I know when I got into the business, my husband didn't have a huge amount of respect for realtors, viewed it as many people do, like it's just easy money. And it's so far from easy money. Um, and if you don't love it and if you don't like working really hard, it's not going to be a good fit for you.
Um, so one of the things, well, I'll switch the order here. One question is, like I've spoken with a lot of businesses and real estate professionals and non-real estate professionals, and one question I like to ask is there something about how you do business? Something, you've been running the business for a long time, so you've made lots of mistakes and learned lots of things and developed lots of systems and approaches and whatnot. Is there something where you're like, okay, I think we've got this figured out. I think we've got this technology, this system, this process, this approach. that really kind of defines the Seward Group and really defines how you serve your clients?
So we do have a lot of systems in place, and as we have grown each year, we have added systems and I have added help. So I have a full-time social media person who is 30 years old, not 60 years old like myself. So it makes for much more interesting content and prettier graphics. Um, I have somebody who does the transactional processing. So we have systems in place so that really nothing can fall through the cracks in terms of deadlines. Um, and we just make sure that every single thing we do serves the highest and best interests of our clients. But each year, and even in smaller increments than years, you have to evaluate what's working and what's not working. And I won't say we're mistake free, but we're pretty tight. We're a pretty tight ship. And more often than not, what ends up complicating the transaction would be something like, a flood or something breaking in walkthrough more than something we neglected to do. I am a bit of a psycho about deadlines and doing the job to the best of my ability. And the team has also been trained. And, every time you make a mistake in life, in work, you learn something from it. You don't repeat it the next time. But in real estate, since every transaction is so incredibly different, I'll say there's mistakes, but there certainly can be surprises. The tenets that we follow and sort of our business motto is integrity, primary above all else, because once you lose that, you have nothing. And that's something I think the real estate industry has struggled with, because you have very smart, very good, very ethical realtors. But as in every profession, you can also have people who are a little lazy and perhaps self-serving. And the second tenet is excessive preparation and market knowledge. We're hyper locally specialized so that our clients really get the very best person. For somebody's looking in Alexandria, it's me. If somebody's looking in DC, it's Brittany. If someone's looking in Arlington, it's Melody, because we all know these areas like the back of our hand. And Anita handles the western suburbs and, Springfield West. And the third tenet is community leadership. So we have a strong belief in being involved in our community and supporting our community. And we believe it brings us joy, but I believe it is an obligation to give back to the community that supports us. So I really do try to be philanthropic with local nonprofits and to support our local schools.
One of the things when we were talking earlier today, you mentioned was relationships, and you were talking about how relationships are key. Just do you want to talk about that? It must be challenging. I mean, because it's obviously maintaining relationships with buyers and sellers is one thing, but when you are dealing with realtors from varying different experience levels and, like you said, maybe even different integrity or attention to detail, that must be really challenging. I mean, how do you maintain those relationships when you're dealing with people that fall short of your tenets?
I mean, it is difficult, but the great thing about real estate is that the transaction always ends one way or the other. So it's not like I have to sit by somebody who has been unresponsive or unprofessional for 8 years, right?
Right.
So it's a limited amount of time. And I guess how I deal with it is I hang up the phone and start cursing.
Do you ever
But
flip the order? Do you ever start cursing while you're on the
no, never, never, never. Very strategic thinker. And you have to just do what's best for your clients. And me releasing my frustration has nothing to do with what's best for my clients.
Right.
So we suck it up just like everybody does in any business. If you're working with somebody who, there are times you could have an 8-week transaction with somebody who never ever picks up the phone.
Right.
So stuff like that is, you just kind of got to make it work.
That's right.
But by and large, the agents in our area, specifically Old Town and Fort Hunt, they're very bright. They're very responsive. There's really no one I could think of locally that would fall into this category. So, you know, I think relationships are important for multiple offers. Get multiple offers. You know, this agent is just kick ass and they're going to get it done, and they're solid and professional and ethical. And maybe you get one from an agent you've worked with in the past that isn't so stellar.
Right.
I mean, the sellers always get to pick in a multiple offer situation. It has nothing to do with me. But I mean, it, you know, who you have as an agent matters. It just matters.
So one of the questions I like to ask is kind of a funny story, or you know, what is something that's happened to you over your time as an agent that just is like, oh my God, that goes into the book as a funny story that's happened to you.
Well, it's only funny because nobody got hurt. But there was a walkthrough at a listing of mine in New Alexandria, and the buyers brought their dog, and it ended up being about a 4-hour walkthrough. The house was vacant. It wasn't a huge deal, but the dog got through a small crack in the fence and was drowning in the neighbor's pool. And so the buyer's agent, like, heroic action, and she just said, I recently stopped eating cheese. And I was able to, I know, and I'm like, oh, if I stop eating cheese, that's not going to happen to me. But that's besides the point. And she saved the dog and everything was fine. But I thought, well, how awkward would that have been at the settlement table, right? I know. And I love dogs. I have dogs, always, always, always. So it was a very weird thing. Another weird thing that happened. No, it's not funny. I can't do that one. It's still not funny.
No, Lyssa, you
no,
have
no,
to.
no. Somebody may have gotten hit by a car on the way to closing. They were fine, but I mean, they literally got hit by a car walking across the street to sign documents.
Wow.
They're fine. They're fine. Like I said, not funny. Sorry for my sick sense of humor at Fort Hunt University. But was bizarre, right?
Yeah,
you got a call and you're like, she's here, she's hurt, she's probably going to go to the hospital after she signs, and you're just, what's happening? And then funny, things always work out, but certainly houses are complex. You know, they're full of different systems, and systems can go wrong, and there just always can be a challenge. And when it's very close to walk through, it's not fun or funny, but it's
interesting.
It's intense. It's intense and interesting. Yes.
So, you know, we've talked about Fort Hunt and the community. Just, you know, this is your platform. Tell us what you love about the area.
So I have lived in Waynewood since 1992, a few short years ago. Raised my kids here. They're 30 and 33, almost 31 and 34. And I mean, I should be long gone, right? I'm an empty nester, but I love the lifestyle here. I love that it feels like a small town. Charlie and I had talked about, you know, moving to Old Town. And I think during the DeRate show, we went and stayed at a hotel, and I love Old Town, love, love, love it. But I was like, it's not green enough. And I am 2 blocks from the river. I'm on that path every day. I love the little Safeway. I love Holland Hall Shell. I still can't call it Walgreens.
Right.
Rite Aid. I like the small town feel. I like that Alexandria is about this big and Fort Hunt is about this big. And I loved being a part of all the sports and the schools. And I just think this is a special place, that in all of Fairfax County or the state of Virginia, there's no place that I would rather live.
Right. All right, so it's 2020. It's been an interesting year. We're into it's June 1st, so we are halfway through. Knock on wood. But I was curious, did you have a personal project or New Year's resolution, something not necessarily business, but just something personal that you've either been working on or that you're going to be working on, something that's exciting you for the year?
Didn't necessarily have a resolution. I think I always struggle, like all of us, to find balance between family and work. And family first, of course, but I love my work. So, um, and I'm always striving to increase our productivity, increase our professionalism, really elevate the profession. Um, and it was a very weird spring market. So middle
Why?
of
What happened,
March,
Lisa? Did
I
something
don't
happen? I haven't been
know.
paying attention to the news.
A lot of gloves, a lot of masks, and I think it was just really scary. But I think the biggest thing for me is that I was so thankful for health, primarily, of course, but so thankful that I'm in a business that involves home, because I think what this crisis has done is it's really elevated the importance of where we live. And if this happened again, I can already see sort of a migration of people that were in high density places thinking like, if this happens again, or if I'm renting, like maybe I just want my own controlled
Right.
environment. And home has always been important to me. It's far more than shelter. It's a place where when you shut that door, you can truly be yourself. This is where you're centered. This is where you're comfortable. It's a sanctuary. But I think that this year really made that go through the roof. And I think people that were not happy in their current home situation were really reevaluating it, because it became primarily important, like more so than ever
Right.
before.
Well, and I was talking to some contractor friends, and I'm like, you spend all your time in your house, you're working in your house. So many people are now probably going to shift, and I mean, more people are discovering how they can work at home and how they want to be at home. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you had this, not so much a baby boom, right, but more of a let's really uh, build out the house, or get your home office together, all those things. I mean, really make your house your center in many cases.
I completely agree. And my husband's a contractor, and he is just nonstop. People are really wanting to fix up their homes and make them places where they're going to be very joyful to be in. I just ordered an inflatable pool because I'm not sure what's happening with the neighborhood pool.
Right, right, right. We have a
So you have one?
we have a hot tub that has been broken for a long time, but we're now using it as just a backyard pool.
I have a guy.
Oh, really?
Do you want me to text you?
I
Yeah,
would love it.
local
I would love
guy.
it. That right now
That
we're
I
happy. We're happy for the next. We'll be happy until September. Now we just need to think about when we need it to be a hot tub again.
All right. I'll text you.
Lisa, thank you so much. This has been
My
great.
pleasure.